hands together and make welcome to the stage, Diana.E.McLaren! Thank you everyone for that lovely warm welcome. Oh, I'm so excited to see you all. How are we? Are we well? Oh, I'm so excited to have you all here. Well, I just want to let you guys know that tonight's show is going to be weird. For me. I don't know, like, you guys should be fine, right? If you guys read the description for this show? No. You didn't? Well, like, did other people? No. Oh, wow, you guys are in for a surprise. I was going to say that, like, if you read the description for this show and went, that sounds like a good time, you'll be fine, but apparently you won't be. So, good luck with that. But tonight's show is going to be weird for me, right? Because some of you here tonight don't know me. Yeah, I'm not really sure why you're here. But thank you. On the other hand, some of you know me really well. Yeah, I've got friends in the house. I've got a Peter in the house. Peter, how many times have you seen this show?
I reckon 3 or 4.
Right? And that makes tonight really weird because, like, some of you have no idea what's about to happen. Some of you could do the show. Really? And that means you're all entering on very different levels of knowledge on what this is. And that's a little bit scary for me. So I thought the first thing I'd do, right, is give you a little bit of backstory on me as a person, and then we're all on the same page and we can have a really good time. Does that sound like a good plan? Alright, so first thing you need to know about me is I am Australian. Yeah. Who's confused by that statement? Yeah, right? For those of you who've clocked the accent, that is a very confusing statement. Luckily, my friend has recently come up with the best way, right? He's come up with the best way of explaining it to people. Because he was introducing me to his new housemates, and he went, "Oi, this is Diana. She was born here, she lived most of her life here, but she grew up in America. That's why she sounds like a wanker." And my first thought was to defend, you know, like, hashtag not all Americans. Have you guys seen America lately? Yeah, they haven't left anything to defend. Something else you should know about me is that I recently lost some weight. Yeah, not a lot, but enough that people have noticed and commented. Yeah, right? Like, unnecessary, right? Like, I have a mirror. Like, I am aware, right? Like, but I have noticed, right? It's not everyone who comments, right? It's always the same kind of person who comments, right? And it's always an older lady, and she has like perfectly blonde, coiffed, highlighted hair, right? And she likes to begin all of her sentences by doing just the world's worst impersonation of a foghorn. Yeah, do you guys know this lady? She just gets right in your face and goes, "Ooh, you're looking trim. You're looking svelte," whatever the fuck that means. You right there, Doug?
I just got it.
Yeah, Doug's a bit slow. Right? But she's always letting in with that, like, "Ooh, you'll have to tell me, what is your secret?" And I just think that's a dumb question to ask, right? Like, because at this point, what do you think I'm going to say that you haven't heard before, right? Like, do you think I'm going to be like, "Well, I was out for a walk in the woods when I came across a goblin. Turns out goblins are just like genies. Yeah, they grant wishes. I know, who knew?" But unlike a genie that grants you 3 wishes, goblins only grant you 1. So I had a really good think about it, and I decided that instead of wishing for world peace or world domination, or even to be thin no matter what I eat because society says that'll make me happy, I decided to wish to lose just enough weight that some bitch would corner me in an IGA to ask me, "What is your secret?" Yeah, I don't say any of that to her, obviously. You know, I'm not a bitch. Love a bitch. got very ill. Because then I get to watch as she has to reconsider whether or not weight loss is always a sign of health and happiness, or if that's just some bullshit propaganda from a corrupted media and a capitalistic hellscape trying to profit off your body. It's that one, isn't it? Yeah. But I do kind of love this question, right? Because it points to this thing that we assume as a society, right? That, like, everyone should want to lose weight. Have you guys noticed this, right? Like, the heroin chic thing is apparently back, God help us. Like, there is this push all the time, like, we need to be skinnier, we need to be smaller, we need to be less, and I disagree, right? I'm very happy in my body the way it is. Anybody else? Yeah? Awesome. A few of you, I love it, right? If you're not, I get it. Media makes it hard, right? But, like, I'm so happy in my body, I don't want to lose weight. But mainly because I am terrified, right? And I do mean, like, terrified of losing these fantastic pillows on my chest. Right? Like, they're amazing. Wait. Like, that is fun. I don't care if you're straight, gay, like, that's fun, right? Like, that's a good time, right? I love them. I actually don't know, right, how skinny girls can live without them, right? Like, the no bra thing must be amazing, but all that eye contact? Doesn't that get creepy? I don't know, right? Like, maybe that's just my neurospicy showing. I don't know. But more on my health problems, my neurospicy towards the end of the show. I feel like you guys, you know me well enough now, we can get on with it, right? Like, yeah, we're all on the board, we're all on the team? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, there's just one more thing I want to tell you before we dive all the way in, which is that where we're going to end up tonight, right? The last story you're going to hear tonight is a weird sex story. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know me, that's a warning. Right? But for those of you who do know me, that's a promise. Right? Because, like, when I first started doing stand-up comedy, that's what I got known for, right? I just got up here night after night, and I just kept telling them, right? I was just like, weird sex story, weird sex story, weird sex story. Until after a while I realized I had to stop, right? Because it was giving everyone the wrong impression of me, right? Because it was giving everyone the impression that I have a lot of sex. I don't. It's just always weird. And I don't know why, right? Like, I really don't. Like, I would like to be having a lot of sex. Anybody else want to be having a lot of sex? Like, you a few of you not raising your hands because of who you're next to, I'm guessing. Yeah, making it awkward. I would love to have a lot of sex, right? Like, secretly, right? I kind of want to be just like the world's biggest slut, right? Like, I do, right? I just want to be out there, like, sucking dick and licking clit. You know, like, right? Like, that is hashtag goals for me. For me, right, I just don't think it's ever going to happen, right? Because in order to get to the point where, like, you're having sex with someone, right, before that, you have to have a conversation. One-on-one. Right? Like, that is not where I shine. Like, this situation, 40 of you held hostage for an hour. This is where I shine. But one-on-one, I make it awkward, right? Like, particularly if I know the person is flirting with me. Does anyone have that problem? Right? Yeah, I'm getting nods, right? Like, that thing, like, they flirt with you and you just shut down. Yeah, right? Like, it's so bad, right? I'll give you an example of one I had, right? This guy and I were in this pub, and we were chatting for a bit, and then he was like, oh, maybe we should grab a drink sometime, right? And normally I wouldn't pick up on that signal, but, like, there were other signs, you know, like, we'd be talking for a while, his hand was on my ass, like, his tongue was just in my mouth. Something's here, right? Right? So I picked up on the signal, and, like, I realized he was flirting with me, and I immediately just, like, shut down, right? And I went inside myself, and then ended up blurting out, I don't want to drive a minivan. To which he rightfully said, what the fuck? Right? So then I had to explain what had happened to me internally, right? I was like, look, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that you just asked me out. That was an Oscar. Yeah, good job, you nailed it. But, like, the problem is, right, like, if I go out with you, I'm gonna fall for you, because, I mean, look at you, you're amazing. But also, my standards are very low. Yeah, which means, like, if I go out with you, right, like, we're gonna have a sex, because, you know, I want to be a slut. And you're going to have a great time, because the sex might be weird, but it's always good. So then, like, you'll mistake having really good sex for falling in love with me. So then we'll be dating, and then after we've done that for a while, we'll have to get married for tax purposes, which means eventually we'll have to have a child to save the marriage. But we won't admit that was a mistake. We'll just have a second child, so the first child has something to play with, and then we'll have a third child, so we can lie to ourselves about why we have the second child, and then we'll have 3 children, and we'll have to get a minivan. And I don't want to drive the minivan. Yeah. That was the moment he backed away from the crazy lady. So I just want to take this moment to assure you all, I am in therapy. I love it, I do. I love being in therapy. A lot of people tell me that I am way too open about that fact, and I get it, right? Because overwhelmingly, when I tell people I'm in therapy, right, they still ask that really weird question where they're like, oh, really? What's wrong with you then? Right? And it's like, nothing? Because I'm in therapy? Right? Like, that's actually how that works, right? But I love this question, because it points to this really weird thing that we do as a society, right? Where we assume that you have to be broken, right? You have to be, like, so anxious you can't leave the house, or so depressed you can't get out of bed before you can start getting help with your brain. Right? And that's just insane to me, right? Like, because there isn't anything else you treat that way. There isn't anything else you'd wait till it was trashed to try and fix it. Right? Like, imagine, right? Imagine, it's not your brain, but your car. Right? And one day you're out driving, and you start hearing, like, a tunk sound. You know, like that metal on metal, like, tunk, tunk, tunk. Do you guys know the sounds? Yeah, right? And you're like, you know what? This is probably still fine. I'll just keep driving. Right? And that's when the burning rubber oil smell starts. Do you guys know that? It's a very specific car smell, right? But it's only when you go over 50. So you're like, you know what? This is probably still fine, right? I'll keep driving. And that's when the really weird thing starts happening, right? Where like you put on your blinkers and your windscreen wipers go. Right? Just one little whoop whoop, and you're like, ugh. Those two things should not be connected. But this is fine, right? Like, I'll keep driving, right? And you keep driving, and the noise gets louder and more persistent. The smell becomes overwhelming. You get like a migraine half the time. And the windscreen wipers, they just start doing whatever the fuck they want, right? They are connected to nothing anymore, right? Disco mode, just like, woo-woo! And you're like, this is still fine. I'll keep driving. And then one day you get in the car, and you go to start it, right? And you can barely get it to turn over, right? You're there for like 10 minutes, like, come on, you can do it, come on, you can do it. And then finally you're like, it's going. Maybe I should take it to a mechanic? Right? So like you go to the mechanics, you don't even make it to the mechanics actually, you have a breakdown in the driveway. Yeah, you know, just push the car the last 100 meters crying lightly, then you toss your keys to the mechanic and go, so can you fix it by 5? That would be an insane thing to do, right? But that is what so many of us do with our brains, right? And I think it's a crazy idea. I think we should all go to therapy, right? I've been doing it now for a decade, and I just want to share this as like a progress marker the other day, right? The other day, I let my intrusive thoughts win. And a decade ago, that would have meant that I'm not here tonight to tell you these jokes. It's dark, but it's true. Last week, I let my intrusive thoughts win, and I used my dog's shampoo. That's it. And I smelled so good. It was amazing, right? So I think everyone should go to therapy, right? That being said, if you don't go to therapy, I get it, right? Like, who has the time or the energy? Like, I'm tired. Right? Like, I'm tired right now. Who else is tired right now? Right? Like, at this point, I've accepted, like, that's just what being an adult is. Right? Like, being tired and secretly wishing you hadn't made plans. There'll be someone in here tonight who regrets it. Yeah. You made the plans earlier in the week, or maybe even just earlier in the day, you know, when you still had hope. And then tonight rolled around, and you're just sitting there at home like, oh, do we have to go? I don't know if this bitch is funny. I know Netflix is funny. Right? And if I stay home and watch Netflix, I can do it in my pajamas. Right? Like, I'm hearing snaps off with someone. And if it is you, don't worry, I'm on your team, right? Like, but for future reference, if that is you, please feel free to come to my shows in your pajamas. Right? Like, nothing would make me happier than looking out into just a sea of very comfortable people. But I also just have this idea in my head that, like, if enough of you did it, right, and then other people were coming to the show, they just show up to, like, half the audience in flannel pajamas going, "You're gonna love her, she's so funny." Like, that would be such a trip. I think that would be so much fun. I think you should all do it, right? But beyond that, I just feel like if enough of you wear your pajamas to my show, then I can wear my pajamas to my show. Right? And that would be awesome, right? Because that would mean as soon as I got home, I would just flop down on the couch and start relaxing. Right? Because that's what I want to do, right? I don't want to waste a minute of that relaxation time, because I am tired, right? You know, that is what it is to exist in this capitalistic hellscape we're pretending as a society, right? You know, it's expensive and exhausting. Yeah. Does everyone know what I mean when I say capitalistic hellscape? Yeah. I'm getting a lot of nods, but I'm also like super conscious that we as a society treat a lack of knowledge as like a personal failing rather than the fact that you just haven't learned something yet. So I'm going to explain it to you guys, right, like the way it was explained to me. Right? And the way it was explained to me is this. It's like we as a society, right, as a giant whole world, whole planet society, we've been playing a giant game of Monopoly. We have. And we've gotten to the point in the game where someone has so much of the wealth and the assets, none of the rest of us can really play. Right? Like, you might be able to make it around the board without going to jail, but that's about it. Right? And that leaves us with a few options, right? Option number one is you can ignore the problem. Hope the problem doesn't affect you. Hope you are the one that makes it around without going to jail. Right? Which is what a lot of us have been doing. Option number two is that we acknowledge that the system isn't broken. Right? The system is working exactly the way it was always intended to work. We've just reached the critical point in the game where it's become obvious how incredibly unfair the system is. So we need to like rewrite the rules, redistribute the wealth, put all the assets back into the middle, redistribute them, rewrite the rules so everyone can play fairly. People can still win, but no one can lose. Does that sound good? Yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen. I love that option, right? I don't think it's gonna happen, which is why we have option number three, right? And option number three is, you know when you've got the Monopoly board out, right? And you're playing with your family and it's like on the kitchen table, right? And then like someone comes along and flips the board while declaring, "I don't want to play anyway." And then you have to start over. Yeah. And I want to be that guy. Right? Anybody else? Yeah, right? I want to be that guy. I want to be a board flipper so bad. But I can't, because I'm tired. Like, I don't have energy left to fight the system. I used it all trying to survive the system. Right? Like, and you know the thing that exhausts me the most? I don't know if you guys have this thing. For me, the thing that exhausts me the most is the bit where you have to play pretend. Do you guys know that bit? Right? Where like you get up in the morning, you go to work, you have some lunch, you do some more work, and then you go to your after work activity, right? You like might play a sport or go to the gym or watch Netflix. I don't know how you live your lives, right? But the whole time you're doing all of that, you just have this little voice, right? And it's deep inside you and it's going, "This is bullshit. You're deeply unhappy." And you're just there like, "Yeah!" But shh. If you stop pointing that out, I'll give you some wine later. I think that's where I fucked up, right? I quit drinking because of my health problems, right? And like, it shouldn't have been a problem, but I spent all of my 20s as like a party girl. Right? Do we have any other party girls in the house? Yeah, right? I spent all of my 20s just out there like, feelings? What are feelings? Oh, the things you pour gin on. I drowned them. I don't have those anymore. Right? So like when I got to my 30s and I got sober, right? Like I had to process like a decade's worth of repressed trauma. And it was weird, right? Like for a while there, I was just like bursting into tears all the time, right? Just wandering around like, "Oh, I remember something from 10 years ago." No. Like, it was better. And then one day, right, it kind of reached a pinnacle because I stopped in the middle of the street to cry in front of a bookstore. Yeah. I feel like that one was fair though, because the reason I burst into tears was the book they were advertising in the window was The Barefoot Investor. Kids. Right? That was the Barefoot Investor for kids. I couldn't handle it, right? I burst into tears. I was like, what the fuck? What's next? Retirement funds for toddlers? Like, that's a really weird book, right? And it really upset me. But I was on my way to coffee with a friend, right? So I thought I'd do that thing where, like, you dump all your problems on a friend and hope their mental health is better than yours. Some people do that thing. Right? So I got there and I started explaining to her about this book and how much it had upset me. And she cut me across and she was like, oh no, Diana, no, you can't make fun of that book. Yeah, that's a good book. It's important. It teaches young people financial literacy. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not making fun of the book. Right? Like, if we're being very honest, I need to read the book. Right? Like, what I'm making fun of is a society in which you have to worry about your financial literacy before you leave high school, or you risk ending up on the poverty line, right? Because that's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love that you agree with me. That was not always the case. Right? Like when I first started doing jokes of this nature a few years ago, right, mostly I got the feeling that people thought I sounded like a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, mostly because my friends kept pulling me to the side to be like, you're starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I still remember the first time one of my friends said that to me, because I had to tense every muscle in my body not to go, yeah, that's what they want you to think. Because they do. Right? The people in power that profit off the system want you to think that all criticism of the system is equally ridiculous, and it's not. Right? So in defense of my conspiracy theorist self that saw the patterns way too soon, right, I just like to point out to people that no one, right, and I do mean no one, is making fun of the Amish anymore. Right? Right? Because that was like a thing in the 90s, right? Like if you went to a comedy show in the 90s, there'd be at least one stand-up comic up here like on the stage being like, oh my god, have you guys seen the Amish? Being purposely left behind by technology. Losers! Right? But like now that we're in the 2020s, some like 30 years later, I feel like we're all just looking at the Amish like, oh, they're cool. Right? Like if you really start to think about it, and I have, like the Amish are kind of hashtag goals. Right? Like I know it's weird, but like they live in small, supportive communities. They only produce like small batch artisan goods. They don't contribute to capitalism or consumerism. And because of the whole like no technology thing, they have an incredibly low carbon footprint. Right? Like if you could just get rid of like the toxic masculinity, the organized religion, and the matching outfits, I'd be in. But to be honest, I say that about all societies. Can we just get rid of the toxic part of masculinity, the organized part of religion, and whatever rules means that we can't all wear our pajamas right now? And I'd be so much happier. I would. But it is thoughts like this that keep me in therapy. And I don't do normal therapy, right? That would be normal. I don't do that. I do something called ACA. Has anyone ever heard of it? No? Did you see my current affair? No. And just putting out there, like, if you ever catch me on that show, they are holding me hostage. Yeah. Or offering me a shit ton of money, which, you know, in a society, same thing. But no, I do ACA, which in my case stands for Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. Yeah. Wow. Right? Like that is a big name. That is a big, heavy name for what is essentially just a group of people that look at their formative years and go, fuck. That could have gone better. Right? And then we start working on our problems. That's it. That's the whole group, right? And I worry that the name scares people off, right? Because I know it scared me off, right? When I first heard about the group, my friend explained it to me, what she was doing in the group herself. And I was like, that's amazing, I should join that. And then she told me the name and I was like, I cannot join that. Right? Because I knew eventually, I'd probably mention to my parents, I had joined a group called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. And my anxious brain had a field day with that. Does anyone else have an anxious brain? Yeah, right? Like, it just took that to places, right? It started imagining scenario. Scenario number one, right, was that my parents would be, like, hurt or sad. You know, they'd just be there, like, after everything we did for you, I can't even look at you, right? But I think my anxious brain was tired that way, because then it came up with scenario number two, didn't bother to change the words, just the attitude, right? And decided on anger, just like, after everything we did for you. I can't even look at you, right? But like scenario number three that my brain came up with, and probably my favorite one, was that my brain decided my parents were going to laugh, not believe me, and then try and have me committed. Right? I was going to tell them and they're going to be like, after everything we did for you, you think, oh, you're not joking? We should call someone. Right? But like, none of those things happened, obviously, right? Like, that was just my anxious brain trying to be helpful. Right? Like, we have other people with anxious brains in the house, yeah? Right? Like, and it's so weird, right? Because you know they're trying to be helpful. I know a lot of people with anxious brains think of it as the enemy, right? And I get it, right? Because you're just sitting there, living your best life, and then your anxious brain chimes in with, you know you're gonna die one day. And you're like, yeah! But right now I'm drinking a coffee. So not an immediate problem, right? But I don't like to think of my anxious brain as the enemy, right? Because if I think my anxious brain is the enemy, then I have to fight it. And I already told you I'm too tired for that shit, right? So I prefer to think of my anxious brain as a drunk toddler trying to help me in the kitchen. Right? Like, it's a good metaphor if you have an anxious brain, right? Because like the intention is lovely, it just has no idea what to do. Right? Like, and that's great, because then you can sober up this poor child, teach it some shit, and then it can be helpful, right? And that's what I've been doing, right? That's what I've been doing in this program. And it worked so well that like I did join the program, and eventually I did tell my parents that I had joined this group, right? And by that point, I don't know, right? I don't know what I thought their reaction was going to be, but whatever it wasn't this, right? I told my parents that I had joined a group called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families, and they went, yeah, but all families are dysfunctional. I was like, okay, are we just ignoring the alcoholics part of that name? They're like, no, you use the alcohol to ignore the dysfunction. Did we teach you nothing? And you'd be like, oh right, my training, sorry, I forgot it. Right? But to me this is like a very weird response, right? Because to me this is the same as like standing in front of your house and someone comes up to you, right? And they're like, so sorry to interrupt you, but did you know your house is on fire? Right? And you don't have to turn around and check, you can feel the heat, you know, and you just go, yeah. But houses catch on fire. I mean, they do. That's not a reason not to try and put yours out. Right? Like, that was the weird part to me, right? And the weirdest part was that how accepting they were. They're like, yeah, we're a bit fucked up. I was like, what? Because that was a whole revelation to me, right? Because I grew up in a family that from the outside looked perfect. Did anyone else have one of these families? Yeah, right? From the outside, like, everybody thought we were amazing. So much so, right, that when my parents announced their divorce, right, the collective reaction from the community around them was kind of like a, what? No, not you guys, right? Like, we're shocked. We're surprised. And I was just standing there like, really? Because I'm relieved is what I am. Right? Like, we can finally stop playing pretend. I was wrong. We still play pretend. Just in new and different ways. But like, to me this was like a really weird reaction, and I found it strange, right? Because I thought we were perfect, right? Because that's what I grew up sort of seeing. And I find it really hard to explain to people external to your situation right? Like how it feels on the inside, right? So I picked a story, and the story goes like this, which is, shortly after my parents' divorce, but for different reasons, my sister decided that she wanted nothing to do with the family anymore, right? She went no contact, but before it was cool. Some of you pay attention to Oprah. Right? She went no contact, right? And fair enough, we all have our journeys. But the way she decided to communicate that to us was via email. Yeah. And it wasn't one email per person. It was just one email. And everyone in the family was CC'd. Right? And the crux of the email was essentially I want nothing to do with any of you anymore. Right? And we collectively, we all received that email and just kind of went, yeah, fair enough. Don't get me wrong, we were hurt and we were sad, but no one had that moment you imagine, right? That shock moment of oh my God, this person that I love doesn't want to be around me anymore. I need to go look in a mirror, right? Essentially what did happen is my sister broke up with my family via group text. And then we all just sat there this is fine. Right? It was weird. But people who know me, who knew my sister, they always ask me if I'm mad at her, right? Because me and her were really close and I haven't spoken to her in years. Are you mad at her? And the short answer for that is no, right? Because I love her. Wherever she is in the world, I just hope she's really happy, right? But the longer answer for that is no. Of course I'm not mad at her. Because when she left the family 7 years ago, I stayed. And there have been at least a few occasions I've thought, she made the right choice. But whenever I tell people that, right, they get a bit awkward like you guys just did, right? And they're like, oh, that's a bit awkward. Diana, if you feel that way, why don't you leave, right? If you feel that way about your family, why would you stay? And it's very simple why I stay, right? I stay because she's gone now, which means by default, I'm the favorite. Yeah. It is intoxicating. Don't get me wrong, the love is still entirely conditional, but it's there the majority of the time. And that is new. I love it, right? But clearly I need to stay in therapy. And I will, right? I'll probably always stay in ACA. I love it, right? I love having a support network outside of my daily life that I can talk to, right? They have no vested interest in the outcome of my decisions, but they know me, they know my life, and they help me make really balanced decisions. If you don't have a support network, get one, right? They have them for everything, right? They're absolutely amazing. But my main thing, right? My favorite main thing about ACA is that it's free. Because while I understand that mental health is an investment, yeah, I've got nothing to invest. At least until my parents die. Then I won't need it, will I? Oh, that's the dark joke. You guys are okay. I think it sucks, right? I think it sucks that mental health is so expensive. We can all agree to that, right? Yeah, it sucks, right? And it sucks because it means that often the people who need it can't get it, right? And I hate that. But for me personally, right, because this show is about me. For me personally, right, the problem I've had is I've been able to afford just enough therapy, right? Just enough therapy to know for a fact I have daddy issues. Yeah. I also have mommy issues, but I don't joke about them because they're not hot. But I do, right? I have daddy issues, and I know that, but I can't afford enough therapy to really do anything about it. Which means at this point I'm just out here dating I don't know, jump on the roller coaster. Right? I've done enough maintenance to know the ride is broken. Not enough maintenance to fix anything. Right? Which means at this point I'm kind of using dating like a diagnostic tool. Right? I don't know, jump on and buckle up, We're gonna see how far this ride gets before it either breaks down or goes off the rails, because either way, new information for my therapist. It actually gets really hard to date when you're in therapy. I don't know if other found that, I found that. I think because ACA is a 12-step program. Do you guys know AA, as in Alcoholics Anonymous? Yeah, all right, so ACA is the same thing. It's a 12-step program, except you don't have to quit drinking. That's how they got me. Right? But because it is a 12-step program, what that means is as you work your way through, eventually you get to a step, right, where you acknowledge that while you were raised in dysfunction, you're now the one that's dysfunctional, right? Like, it's just this epic moment where you sit down and you're like, oh, I'm the problem. Right? Which, like, emotionally, very hard thing to do. Factually, quite easy. Right? Like, because out of all of my failed relationships, romantic, business, friends, otherwise, the one thing that they always had in common was me. Right? So, like, factually very easy, emotionally very hard. But right after I had that moment, I was catching up with a friend and she taught me this phrase, which is, you don't have a type, you have a pattern. Yeah, that was a lot for a Tuesday. But the problem I had is I'd done those two things, like, basically on the same day, right? Figured out I am the problem, and then learned you don't have a type, you have a pattern. And my brain put those together, right? And the conclusion I came to, right, like what I figured out is at this point in my life, the fact that I am attracted to you is the red flag. Right? Like if I meet you and I'm immediately just like, yeah, you're some kind of alcoholic. Right? Like, I don't know what, you could be a workaholic, an angeraholic, or just a classic alcoholic. But you know, if I want to fuck you, you should go to a meeting. Yeah, it's not good. But as well as doing group, right, that kind of ACA stuff, I also have a therapist that I work one-on-one with, which is great, but annoying in this instance, right, because as soon as I figured out that, right, I am the problem, she was like, great, let's start there. And then she was like, we need to figure out what that problem is, right? And we did, right? We went through several months, and it turns out my problem is that I am emotionally unavailable. I didn't believe it either. Right? She said that to me in our session, and I legitimately said to her, I think you have the wrong file. Is that my mother's file by any chance? Because that would make sense. She was like, no, Diana, this is your file. You are emotionally unavailable. And I was like, but I can't be emotionally unavailable. I'm lovely. And she was like, yeah, no, you are. You're lovely. But when you're sad, when you're hurt, when you're angry, do you tell people? And I was like, oh, God, no. Oh, who would do that? Right? Like, who would wander around just like, I'm having a feeling. I think you should know about it. Turns out that's what all you healthy motherfuckers do. I had no idea. I was like, but why? Why would I do that? She was like, oh, you know, because you trust the people around you to let you have the fullness of your emotional experience without trying to change or alter it in any way. Nope. Right? I was like, that is not my experience. But even so, right, I stayed in denial for ages, right? I wasn't willing to admit that I was emotionally unavailable until a little while later, right, when I suddenly started getting very sick. And I went to see the doctors, and the doctors told me that I might have cancer. Now, nobody stress, nobody panic, right? Like, it was always such a slim chance that I actually think my doctor was being a hypochondriac on my behalf, right? But like, basically what happened is I got some funky test results back, and I needed to like do a follow-up, right? Just double check that it wasn't anything bad. And I went for the appointment, and he took a sample, and he sent it away, and he said to me, look, these results take a lot longer to come back. So now would be a good time to reach out to friends and family for emotional support. And I said, yeah, but I'm not gonna do that, right? Like, I literally didn't. I have friends and family that the only reason they know I spent a month thinking I have cancer is because they came to a show. Okay? The only person that I actually wanted to tell, that I actively like called to tell, is one of my best friends, right? And we have been best friends since birth because our moms went to uni together. So we were raised in very similar dysfunctions. So we just get each other, right? And I called him up to be like, oh, you never guess what the doctor said. He was like, reach out to friends and family for emotional support. And he was like, don't do that. And I was like, yeah, no, wasn't gonna. Right? And then we had a really good laugh, chatted about a few things, and he was like, I guess the real question is like, why are you telling me? Right? Like, do you need emotional support? I was like, oh God, no, baby, I'd never call you for that, I love you. Right? Like, I'm calling you so we can make a bet. And he was like, yeah, that tracks, what's the bet? So it's very simple, right? You're $5 no cancer, I'm $5 cancer. That way, if the worst should happen and I do have cancer, I'll be sad, but I'll win $5. Yeah. And it is thoughts like this that keep me in therapy. Yeah. Lo and behold, though, I didn't have cancer. Yeah. See, everywhere I go, people are very happy about that. I was pissed off. Alright? I got really mad. I was like, are you serious? Like, at this point, right, I'd already been sick for like 6 months. And they tested me for a bunch of stuff and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was getting really annoyed because they kept telling me, no, there's nothing really wrong, just go home, you're just stressed, you're just tired, you need to work on your lifestyle choices. Which, in case you're wondering, is code for you're fat. I'm getting notes. Yeah, you get it, right? Like, this is what they say, right? And it's like, it was really awkward, right? But I did, right? I went and worked on my lifestyle choices and nothing was getting better. I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And then suddenly, I got rushed to ED. Right? And the doctor there, right, I know for a fact that is what that means, because he opened my file, read the notes from my previous doctors, and went, they're right, you are fat. But I think you might also be sick. Yeah. And then I think he realized his colleagues kind of fucked up, because he started testing me for everything, right? Like that day I got CTs, ultrasounds, and an MRI. They took enough blood away to cure something. Right? Like, I don't know what it is, but it's fixed now. And in all of that testing, what they found out was that my IUD had become embedded in my uterine wall. Yeah. Now, if you did not just go, oh, with everyone else, I'm going to assume it's because you don't know what an IUD is. Right? So, an IUD is just like a little umbrella, right, that they put up inside you in case the raincoats ever failed. It's a very good description if you think about it, right? The problem I had though was that my little umbrella, my little spiky bits, had gotten shoved right into the uterine wall, and the hormones were now leaking into my system too quickly, and it was infected, right? So the doctor very wisely told me, that probably needs to come out. So I went to the gynecologist and assumed the position. And for those of you whose only reference is like a 90s rom-com starring Jennifer Aniston, you know? Like when she goes to the gynecologist and she's in this like lovely padded chair, her feet just gently up in stirrups, like, oh, am I at the gynecologist or on vacation? No. That is not the actual position, is it, ladies? No, right? The actual position they get you into, right? You go to the gynecologist and you are flat on your back, right? On a weirdly hard table, I don't know why. And then they lift your feet up into the stirrups, there are stirrups, and then they kind of like grab hold of your bum and start like dragging it towards them, so you like crank open. Like, have you guys ever seen a dead cockroach just... That's the position. So I went to the gynecologist and assumed the position, right, flat on my back, and the nurse was getting me ready, right, she was getting me prepped, and she reached in and started having a rummage. It's not a better way to put that, I've checked. But right as she reached inside me, she went, ooh. Now I don't know what kind of person you are, but I had questions. Right? I was like, oh God, what's happening? What's down there? The teeth? What's going on? Like, ah. Right? And I was really freaking out. She was like, oh, no. There's nothing to worry about. It's just, you have the strongest, but softest pelvic floor I've ever felt. moment you can compliment someone on their pelvic floor. I'm just saying that wasn't it. Like, that being said, the nurse in question was not just a gynecological nurse, she was also a lesbian. Which means she rummages personally and professionally. So what I've decided to take away from this is that this is some A-grade pussy. And I need to raise my standards. That's what I concluded. But she got me prepped, she got me ready, the doctor came in, reached on in there himself, grabbed hold of the little strings on the end of the umbrella, and pulled. And I screamed. At which point, he announced to the room at large, I don't think that's coming out today. And I said, no shit. Right? And he gave me a heat pack and sent me home with the promise, come back again another day, we'll try again. Yeah, I cannot tell you how much that was never gonna happen. Right? Like, look at all your faces, right? That was never gonna happen, was it? Right? Like, I was never going back. But it turned out to be kind of a moot point, right? Because the next day I woke up and I was in so much pain, I once again got rushed to ED, and they did a quick ultrasound and discovered that he had torn my ovaries. Yeah. I was bleeding internally, and the man had given me a heat pack. Yeah. Right? Like, the lovely doctor at ED, she overcorrected. She was like, how much oxy do you want? I kind of had to be like, do you have anything mid? Like, you know, not a shit old heat pack, not a highly addictive narcotic. She was like, no. I was like, oh well, have to get high, Dr. But it's probably about now, if not sooner, you're kind of thinking to yourself like, Diana, why the fuck are you telling us this story? Yeah, this is not a fun story, is it? I'm telling you this story for three very important reasons. So first of all, right, she recommended me to someone. I ended up having surgery. They removed the IUD, repaired the ovaries. Everything's okay now. I mean, I haven't road tested it. If anyone wants to off-ball. But right, everything's fine now, right? But because this was not considered life-threatening, I ended up $20,000 out of pocket. So I want to thank you all again for coming to my show. Follow me online, buy my book, come to another show. Thanks. Made it awkward, didn't I? Reason number two, I tell you this, right? When they took the IUD out, I decided not to have another one put in. Shocking, I know. I decided not to have another one put in, but that meant that I came off birth control for the first time in a decade. And someone should have warned me. So I'm warning all of you guys. Guys, when you come off birth control, you get so horny. And it's not a normal horny. Right? Like, somehow it is both menopausal woman horny and teenage boy horny. At the same time. Right? Like, basically what I'm saying is none of you would have been safe. Everything looks like a good idea. Right? At one point, I got turned on eating an icy pole. Right? I literally don't know what happened. I just kind of felt something hard against my tongue, and my body went, shall we? I was like, oh my god, shall we fucking what, you pervert? But reason number three I tell you this story is because it was a lot, right? Obviously, it was a lot for you guys to hear, it was a lot for me to go through. And during that process, right, because it was a lot and I was having really bad days, I was calling friends and like filling them in when I was having a hard day, which meant I was reaching out to friends and family for emotional support. Yeah. There was just a random Thursday where I was like, shit, therapy works. Which was directly followed by, oh yeah, no, I'm emotionally unavailable. Right? And I am, like I was. And that's why it makes it so weird that several months before this, right, I got dumped. Right? Well, like technically, right, it wasn't a dumping, right? It was just an agreement like that we wouldn't go on a second date, right? Have you guys had that conversation? Yeah, we were having that conversation, but when we had that conversation, she felt the need to give me feedback. So it felt like a dumping. gave me, right? We were talking, and she was like, look, I had a really nice time, but I just felt like right from the start, you put yourself out there, right? Like right from the start, I feel like I got to know you so easily, and I don't really enjoy that, because I like the chase. First of all, go to therapy. Like, don't get me wrong, we should all be in therapy, but if you enjoy the chase, don't wait. Right? Like, don't even wait for the end of the show. Make the appointment now. I won't be offended. Right? But second of all, I don't have to be like, bitch, you thought you got to know me? You didn't even get to know one of my personalities. Right? Like, what you're responding to there is me trauma dumping to scare you off. And it worked. So go me. Yeah. I need to stay in therapy, eh? I really do, and I probably always will for a reason I haven't really discussed much tonight, which is, I have ADHD. Yeah, who is surprised by that fact? No one. Yeah, the only person that was ever surprised by my ADHD diagnosis was me. Yeah, because I found out, like so many women, I found out in my 30s, and I got really excited, and I started calling all my friends like, oh my god, guys, guess what? I have ADHD. And they were like, yeah, we know. We've met you. Right? But during that diagnosis process, the lovely person who was diagnosing me pulled me aside and was like, are you aware you're also autistic? And I was like, actually, no, I had no idea. This is new information. Thank you for letting me know. And I pursued that diagnosis as well and got it all done right. And that was really weird because the reaction was so different. When I started telling people like, oh, it looks like I might be autistic, everyone was kind of like, ooh, you don't want that label. That's not the fun label. ADHD fun, autism bad. Right? That was the reaction. And I just really disagree, right? For me, right, any label, whatever label I'm getting, it's just more information about how to take care of me. Right? Like, I think of all of these labels, the ones we're given, right, as like you know the tags in the back of your clothes, these ones? That have like the instructions for how to take care of that garment? Yeah. You know the ones you've never read? That's what these labels are, right? They're instructions for how to take care of you, right? And I was so excited to have these new instructions for how to take care of myself, right? Like, I will admit, it is very weird getting diagnosed in your 30s, right? Because I thought I had a personality. Yeah, it turns out I just have symptoms. Right? Like, it was so relieving at the same time, though, because it's just so nice to know that, like, I'm not a fucked up horse. I'm just a zebra. Have you guys heard this metaphor before? Yeah, I'm getting some notes on front. This is like, it's a common one that therapists give you, right? And my therapist explained to me, she's like, look, if you didn't know that zebras existed, right? If your only reference was a horse, and then one day you're wandering and you came across a zebra, you'd look at that and you'd go, wow, that horse is fucked up. Right? But if you know zebras exist, right? And then you go and you see a zebra in the wild, you go, wow, that's an amazing zebra. Right? And that's what it is, right? To have the correct label for you, right? To get diagnosed. And it's been so much fun, right? I really enjoyed it. Because as far as I can tell, right, there is nothing wrong with being neurodivergent. The problem comes when you're neurodivergent and you try and live a neurotypical life. Right? Because that is like trying to make a movie using Excel spreadsheet. Right? There's probably one nerd on the internet who can do it, but it's not me. Right? Like, the majority of us are gonna fail. But I was so excited by this information. I was so excited to share people with it. Like, it helps me so much. And the people I was most excited to tell were my parents. Right? Because I was a bit of a problem child, I'll admit that, right? And I was so excited to explain to them, like, oh, you know that thing when I was growing up where, like, I could not keep my room clean, right? That wasn't me just being lazy, that was like an object permanence issue, right? I need to see my stuff. And you know that thing where I get, like, straight A's one year and then, like, drop out the next? That wasn't me being obstinate, right? That was, like, an executive dysfunction issue. Like, sometimes I just couldn't get started. And you know that thing where, like, I cannot stop talking and just talk all the time? First of all, I mean, some people love it. That makes the last hour really awkward. Let's try that again. You know that thing where I talk all the time? Some people love it. But also, local stimming, right? This is why I'm so happy up here. This is my happy place. I'm stimming for an hour. Like, this is the best, right? And I was so excited to explain this to my parents, right, that I sat them down to tell them, right, like separately, right, because, they're divorced. I wasn't going to put them in the same room for this, right? But I sat them down to tell them about the ADHD. That's what I knew about at the time, right? I sat them down to tell them, and at that point, I did understand, right, why they had 30 beautiful years of marriage before they separated, right? Because when I told them that I had ADHD, right, like months apart, different states, different times, they responded the exact same way, right? Which was to go, oh, not this again. To which I said, sorry, what? Right? Because as it turns out, where I grew up in America, right, if you got an ADHD diagnosis, you had to medicate to go to school. And several of my primary school teachers suggested that I might need some study in that way, but my parents didn't want to have to medicate me, right? They didn't want that choice taken away. So they went, I know, we just won't get her diagnosed, then they can't force the medication. It's actually brilliant logic. Right? Like, the autism runs in the family. Right? Like, I'm like, that's genius, but why didn't you tell me? Right? Like, this is information about myself I really could have done with sooner. And they just kind of went, well, you seem to grow out of it. After all, you turned out fine, didn't ya? Did I? Right? Like, if I, in fact, turned out fine, would my favorite thing be in the entire world? My favorite thing be to get on stage and tell strangers weird sex stories? Because that's where we're up to. Who wants to hear my weird sex story? Awesome. Alright, so, this story starts, right? I went on a date with this guy, right? And he was a divorcee, right? My first one. And we had a great time, right? Like, we had such a great time, which is, awesome for me. Shit for comedy. But luckily, right at the end, he saved it for you guys. Because right at the end of the date, right, the date had gone so well. We were having such a good time, right, that we started having the pre-sex chat. Yeah, do you guys know that chat where you're like, this is what I like, this is what I like. Okay, the thing I'm referring to is consent. I'm gonna need to see a lot more nodding. So, let's try that one again as well, right? You know the chat where you're like, this is what I like, this is what I like. Maybe we'll have a bit more of a chat later. Right? But like, we were having that chat when he suddenly says, I don't like to go down on women. I was like, okay, cool. Who do you like to go down on? He didn't laugh. Yeah, he kept talking. Right? And he was like, oh yeah, I don't like to go down on women, because unlike when women go down on men, men don't get any pleasure out of it. What? I was like, okay, pausing there, I have questions. When you say, right, that like, she enjoys herself, is what you mean, right, that like, when she's down there, she feels like sexy and powerful and turned on because she's turning you on? Or do you think that a woman can come from having your dick shoved down her throat? And he went, yeah, obviously. Which was super awkward for me, because all I can think about is this point earlier in the night when he was like, yeah, I still don't know why my wife left me. And I'm thinking I do. Right, like, I know one of the reasons. But right, at this point, I immediately decided, like, I am not having sex with this person, right? But like, I also don't feel like I can just like leave him in the world like this, you know? Like, he could hurt himself, like, right? So I, having no shame and no boundaries, pulled out a pen and a napkin and started drawing him a diagram, just like, the clitoris? Sometimes you think you can't find it, because just like a penis, it takes a while to get engorged, about 30 to 45 minutes. But I don't care how hard you think it is to find, it's not in the back of her throat. Right? Like, if I am wrong, if there is some sort of magical woman out there who managed to swap her clit and her uvula, please get in contact. Right? Like, I want to know your secrets. It would help very much with my slutty plans. But I drew this diagram for him. He took a photo of the napkin. The bar staff took the napkin. Yeah, that's a separate story. It's wonderful, right? But we sort of kept chatting, and he was really open, right? He was really open and receptive, and I kind of started to question myself, right? I was like, wow, maybe I've judged him too soon, right? Like maybe him and his partner just didn't have good communication. Maybe he's just never learned this. Maybe I should sleep with him, you know? Because nothing is a better teacher than hands-on. Oh, that didn't get a laugh? It's a practical. Come on, guys. No, but I had almost convinced myself into sleeping with this guy when he started talking again. Guys, don't do that. Right? And the phrase he came out with was this. He was like, look, either way, it's easier to go down on a guy than it is to go down on a woman. Bullshit. Right? Like, I don't know how this became a thing, how people, like, some people seem to think this is a thing. It's not a thing, right? And I've literally written a whole show to explain that this is not a thing, right? Because I am bisexual, right? I sleep with men and women, so I feel I'm uniquely qualified to answer this question, right? And going down on women is so easy, right? It's so easy. Literally, right? All you do is you go down, and then you lick an ice cream cone. Just and when the ice cream starts to melt, try and get it out of the cone with your tongue. Just and when you can't get all the ice cream out of the cone with your tongue, use your fingers and scoop. Don't just put them in there and wave them around. That makes a mess. You know? Just get them in there. Actually, these fingers. You know what? Let's not do technique. That might be crossing the line. I don't know. Right? But my point is, right, that's actually a very simple experience. Like, just go down and eat an ice cream cone. How easy is that? Yeah? Right? It's so easy, right? It's not that easy going down on a guy, right? Because when you go down on a guy, you still go down, right? And you still have an ice cream cone. But now, you have to get the whole ice cream cone in your mouth. Like, and you go like, you get, right? And then you go like kind of suck on the ice cream bowl, like kind of pull out the, and then like, you gotta be so careful that you can't damage the cone. They don't like that. It's like, it's so stressful, and the whole time, right? The whole time you got this whole ice cream cone, and you're like, have these other two bowls of ice cream over here. And you're supposed to play with them, apparently. I mean, it's very messy. But like, I guess what I'm saying, right? And like, there is a lot to take away from the show. Hopefully you guys learned something. Yeah. Hopefully you had some fun. Yeah. But if there is one thing that I want you all to take away from this show, right, out of everything that you've learned tonight, it's this. Guys, there's a reason they call it a blow job and not a blow vacation.